Okay, so strategic action planning season. Yay! Because we're all so up for that right this minute, huh? Um, the we are not talking about a strategic action plan here today. You are going to get that. Hera Hub has multiple strategic action plans, things that you can do and sign up for. There's ones all over the place. What we've made this about is the way that the strategic action plan falls down. So it's the gaps that a strategic action plan just naturally generates, that if we address these three key things, it's going to make that strategic action plan much more likely to be executed, okay, and to get results. So step one, okay, is going to be you can't just look forward. Y'all have to stop for a second and look backwards, okay? And I need you to look back by 12 months. I'm giving you this as a reference point for the last 12 months, but this is something you should maintain every single month. So Chris, what I'm showing all of you is, if you don't have it, start it now, going forward, okay? Then slowly reverse back. Go last month, go the month before that, go the month before that, and work your way backward. Why I'm saying that is you all are probably unaware, or at least not consciously aware, of everything you've been doing to get the results you've been getting. So this is your chance to stop, take a look and go, here's what I've been getting, doing what I've been doing. So when I go to a strategic action plan and I go, I'm going to do this with projections or marketing or blah, 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 we go, oh, delusion, grandeur, this is what I'm going to do. You have to stop and go, but what have I already been doing? And what's it going to take to do what now I've aspirationally said I want to do? And what's that delta? And how do I know if it's flipping working? Like, okay, so I'm doing this thing. How do I know it made an impact? It's not going to be, none of you, I hope, are not expecting that all of a sudden you call Gwen and say, let's do marketing. And 6 weeks later, you have 100 clients. Like, that's not the way this works. Okay. You're not going to call yeah, I know, right? I get a lot of clients that go, I tried LinkedIn marketing. And I go, oh, really? How long did you do it? 3 months. Oh, you're cute. Social media is 18 months. Minimum. Minimum.
And Nikki, Maggie asked in the chat if you could maybe define delta a little bit.
Sure. So a delta is the difference. So if I'm used to getting 10 clients and I do a new activity, did I get more clients? What's my delta? What changed? I can't measure what changed if I didn't document what was before. Now I don't know. Now you all are allowing your minds to play tricks on you because you're like, I didn't do very much at all. Oh, holy crap, I did a lot. Right? So that's the point, is our brains will play tricks and we need to have that delta. Here's my warning to you. Please, please, most of you reject going and looking backwards because you're in this shame spiral of, I didn't make enough money. I didn't make my 6 figures. Shut up. Like that, quiet. That does not help you here, okay? The key profit indicators that I'm going to talk about today, those are, they're separate from gross revenue. Like, they have nothing to do with gross revenue. They're determining who you're serving, where's the money coming from, how am I pulling in the money, and am I making that hourly I need to make, which you can determine off one client. I bid this, I needed my company to earn $250 an hour or to generate $250 an hour. Oops, I bid $2,500 thinking I was going to work 10 hours, but I worked 20 hours on that client. And now I really only made $125 an hour. Okay, we need to make a change. So it has nothing to do with gross revenue. That's not profitability. Okay, it is, but it's later down the road because that's the easy one. I look at the bank account, money there. Okay, that's not really analytical. It's nothing we have to really deep dive on. It's just there or it's not there. Okay. So stow that for me, please, because that's not going to help you. All right. The second thing we're going to look at is projections based on realistic resource allocation. So what is that? Increasing revenue and sales requires three major resources: time, money, and talent / skills or people. And you have to balance that with you servicing the clients, you doing the things that make you the money. So I need you to understand when you go to make your projections, you have to stop and think, what is it going to take in time, money, and talent to hit that projection? And if you are already investing time, money, and talent into what you are currently getting, this means you have to increase it or redirect it. But you can't keep doing the same thing you've been doing and expecting a different outcome. That's not going to happen. Okay. And then the third and final piece that we're going to talk about today is implementation planning. Now somebody goes, what the heck is implementation planning? I'm waiting for Maggie to say, what the hell is implementation planning? What does that word mean?
Read my mind. You don't know what I'm thinking.
Oh, I think I kind of do. I think I kind of do. So here's where I'm going to go with this. Ideas are great. Stephanie Blue, who's my former business partner in photography, and Janina, who is my ops director, and Gwen, who's my CMO, and Tammy, who's my CIO. You can see it's a family affair. When I go, I have an idea, all three of them go, oh, shit. Okay, you have an idea. Great. All right, what do we have to do to help support Nikkie's idea? Okay. It's not enough to have an idea, and a strategic action plan is essentially a bunch of really great ideas. Okay. But it is not an implementation plan, which is how do I act on this idea to implement it in my business to see results come out of it. Okay. So that's the third piece. Okay. So Gwen just put in the chat, a goal without action is just a dream. I love that. Pamela Wiley and I were talking about sales processes. And I was like, people think that if they're just passionate about what they do, they're going to close business. And Pam goes, passion without process is just a fun conversation. It's just, you just had a fun conversation, but you don't have a process for taking that passion and actually turning it into committed clients. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the things we're going to have you measuring in past performance. Now, out of all of the topics I'm going to give you today, this is the one I want you to pay most attention to, given where everybody is right now. All right. If the projection piece goes over your head, if the implementation planning goes over your head, most of you are Hera Hub members. If you are, keep in mind, there is I gave a biz booster on implementation planning. You can find that in your resource library. At the very end, I will show you what the name of that is if you want to take a deeper dive on it. But this is the most important piece. So here it goes. What are you looking backward to look forward to? First question is, where are your clients and contracts coming from? Where are they coming from? Are they new or repeat? If all your client list is new, and I'm giving Noor and Chris a pass on this because all theirs are going to be new, but for experienced entrepreneurs like Maggie, Susan, by the way, everybody give a hand for Susan. Her company just turned 30 years old. Isn't that flipping amazing? I know, she's a badass. She's a badass. So if you are seeing only new, something's broken. You should be seeing repeat. That's how a purchasing funnel works. You have an initial buy-in, and then they should be repeating sales as they go through. So if it's all new, there's something up. Are you hitting the right target markets? So have you ever been like, these are my target markets? And then you're like, where are all these people coming? Like, I want you to stop and go, do these people really fit the target? Because if they don't fit the target, ask yourself one of two questions. Oh, do I have a new target that is now showing up naturally without me doing anything on purpose? Hey, people, why are we slugging uphill on ones that we are trying to target when these people are just showing up? So pay attention to that. The other thing is, I don't know about you all, but there's times where you think to yourself, do I have all broke ass people apply here written somewhere on my body? Like, how are all these people like, I want everything you have, and I have $5? And you're like, what the heck is happening? So if you're noticing a lot of leads or clients that you're willing to take because you need the cash flow, but I want you to be consciously aware of it, because you may be fishing for swordfish in a catfish pond, and I don't care how freaking good you are, you're only going to pull up catfish. So be aware you might need to make an adjustment. And then where is the sphere of influence coming? I love everybody who's like, I'm going to do social media and I'm going to do ads. And I'm going, where's all your clients coming from right now? Oh, well, they're from people I know, or I get a referral. Okay, then why are you, unless you have the cash flow, unless this is meaningful and it's time to stretch outside those two spheres of influence, they know me personally, they know you personally, or they know someone who knows you personally, why are you investing in that? Make sense? Okay, so where are they coming from? That will inform your marketing plan, right? Where do I spend more time? And the next section is, how is your money coming in? So which offerings are selling the most? Are the clients and prospects moving through your purchasing funnel effectively? Like, are you getting hung up, stuck on something? Okay. And is your sales process working efficiently? If it used to take 3 weeks to close a client and now it's taking 6 weeks, your profitability is taking a hit. Too long to close. Speed it up. When is your money coming in? What months are better than others? How long is it taking you to finish a contract? So this is what Melody brought up. She's like, oh, it's supposed to be 6 months. Crap. For me to deliver to this client took 10 months. That's the problem. That's going to negatively impact profitability, because you can't take their seat for someone else. They're dragging out. Now, Tammy is very good at this. You've been warned. This is your deadline. Hit it or forget it. So, and she will be like, and we're done. And I love that. I love that. I've taken a piece off of it from her. Hit it or we're out. Okay. Are you generating the hourly revenue required to meet your income needs? So are you consistently underbidding and ending up with either a pissed off client you get to bill overages to, which, by the way, that does not create raving fans. Okay. Or are you eating it and now they're not pissed, you're pissed. You're pissed at yourself and a little bit of them, because you're like, I just got taken to the cleaners and that wasn't it. So are you underbidding? Are you accounting for all your only for your client facing hours, or are you also accounting for your behind the scenes? You guys are forgetting that it's all the time it takes to service that client has to be accounted for. And that's one of the main places female founders leak money. Hey, Shana. And then, are you keeping the money you earned, or are you just flushing it right back out? I have a client, Janina and I have a client right now. They made almost $1 million this year. And guess how much they spent? Almost $1 million. So there was no profit in there. There's no safety net. They weren't able to save anything and we literally identified $350,000 of unnecessary expenses. Yeah, Tammy, I know. The CEO wasn't happy when we pointed that out. So pay attention to that. Okay. Are there any questions? We're going to pause for a minute. Are there any questions about the areas and the ways that you are supposed to be tracking things and asking these questions? Is there anything that you're like, I don't know what that means?
Yeah,
Maggie?
what do you recommend as a device to track? Spreadsheet is always like a nice way to track, but is there some other way to track that you recommend?
I have a spreadsheet. Gwen might be able to find the opt-in for it. It's a kind of more simplistic version of what I went through, but I do want to let you all know that we're going to take a deep dive in January. So, and I will talk about that January 16th, and I'll give you guys a booking link. This one's going to be for pay because we are going to do 90 minutes and we are going to hammer this information out. You guys are going to be able to get your own spreadsheets, label it yourself, start to populate it yourself. And Noor, where's my Noor? Where's my Noor? She's hiding behind the camera. Noor, who is the dashboard creation queen, is actually in the process of creating a templated dashboard that we will all be able to get in the next step, where you all will be able to type this information in and it's going to create little dashboards. So you literally don't have to go through the data. You'll be able to look at a little picture that says how many of my clients are new, how many are repeat, how many sphere 1 influence, sphere 2, sphere 3 influences. What are my target markets? It's all going to be picturified. So it will be nice and juicy. Yeah. Janine, that's my new word, picturified. If my daughter's generation can make up random things about toilets, skibbity toilet, which by the way, they can't even answer what that means, then I'm going to say picturified, and that's just the way that's going to go. Any other questions about what you're looking for? Okay, and we can come back. We're going to have some more time. Okay,
Nikki, can I just share a quick,
please?
For Maggie's question for time tracking, very simple version. If you're just starting out on this, I highly recommend newbies to use Toggl, Toggl. It's a free tool that you can track your time. So if you bid 5 hours, track your time with Toggl, and you can see if you went to 10 hours, which I did on a project last month, then I know I bid it wrong and I need to improve how I bid or improve how I charge, all of those things. So Toggl's a great stop. There's more that Nikki has implementing if you have a larger team, but if you're just getting started, try that for time tracking. And I'll have more tips for anybody who needs that later.
Yeah,
now that's time tracking. That's
wondering...
one piece versus the clients, spheres, things like that, which Gwen is going to give that.
Just wondering, you know, this is a different workshop. Like, oh, how to time track how do we time track effectively without falling into a million rabbit holes and tripping over landmines?
So Tammy and I are, but I'm going to tell you all that Tammy and I are looking at Toggl supposedly is supposed to be becoming a stalker. Like every tab you open, it starts and stops automatically. So you pull off the tab, it stops that time tracker and activates another tracker. But I'm still on the fence on whether I think that's going to work. Okay.
So just a request. Because if money is falling down into the hole because we're not tracking our time, I'm requesting a very useful, quick, short to the point, how to track that so you don't lose time, which equals money. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to track your time.
So
and for CEOs like us who pull off and multitask and do 18 tasks in 1 hour, it's really difficult. So you definitely have to get better at it.
Would love that workshop and happy to pay for it.
Perfect. Oh, awesome. Okay, so projections based on realistic resource allocation. So here's what I want you guys, it's on your handout. So if you look at it, I want you to reverse engineer successful projections. So if you say, what are you wanting to change for 2025? So see how I changed the language? I didn't go, how many clients do you want to have? How much more money do you want to make? It's not just that, it's what do you want to change about what you have been doing that will create the projection that you want. That's reverse engineering it. What change are you wanting? So you need to be very specific. So in there, it's like, I want to sell to a new target market. Awesome. How are you going to get access to them? More new prospects. Okay, what marketing tactics are you going to use? Which target market for those prospects? You can't just go, everybody, I want all, and we'll just see. That's throwing spaghetti at a wall, otherwise known as spray and pray. It doesn't work. More repeat clients. That's a great option for the existing entrepreneurs. So what's your past client sales process going to be? So if I want more repeat clients, what is the action I have to do? I have to develop a more robust past client sales process. How do I reactivate them? Because that is not the same as a new prospect, and it's not the same as an active client that you're selling into something new. How do you reactivate them? New service offering. Okay, love it. What's it going to take to create, market, and sell it? So Gwen and Tammy and Janina and I in 2023, y'all? 2023. We're having this action planning meeting for Snap Savvy, and we're all in a room, and bless Gwen, I'm like, and I'm going to do this new offering, and I'm going to do this new offering, and I'm going to do this new offering. And she goes over to the whiteboard and writes in big capital letters, no, and underlines it. It's like, and no. And I was like, what do you mean no? And she's like, Nikki, you can't, yes, you can build it, but you have to market it. You have to figure out how you're going to sell it. You have to, like, it's not like you can't launch that 5 all in a year. Like, you have to think maybe at fastest. So for Chris, you and Nor, because you're new, maybe 1 a quarter, maybe. That's pretty aggressive, but 1 a quarter is going to be a good pacing. Okay. Because it's not enough to just create it. This isn't Field of Dreams. If you build it, does not mean they're just going to come. Sorry, Kevin Costner, you know I love you. Okay. Boost sales of an existing service offering. So Tammy does an amazing AI 100. Say Tammy goes, not that this is true because she's full basically for AI 100 trainings, but it's like, say Tammy goes, I want more AI 100s. So what is she going to do differently this coming year to change the number of those sessions that are being purchased? Is doing the same thing she's been doing is going to give her the same outcome, which is the stability that she has. I want a more efficient sales process. This is taking me too long. Susan and I had a great conversation when I was like, man, if we are custom writing, I know it is quiet in here. Tammy, your note taker, is saying it's quiet in here. If
That's
Susan
Tamina.
and I
Is Tamina here?
Oh, it's Tamina's? Oh, she's not here.
Just want to make
Okay,
sure it wasn't
well.
me getting the blame. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm sorry, my
That's so
bad. I just
funny.
quickly went over it. So Susan and I were talking, and when we do a custom proposal, freaking A, that's expensive, right? Like, we write a custom proposal, that's expensive. Because half the time, if we're doing it right, half are going to say no. Because if everybody's saying yes, who's my longtime Snap Savvy followers? If everyone's saying yes, what does it mean?
You need to charge more.
Yeah, Tammy, you're too freaking cheap. If everyone is saying yes, they're going, sucker doesn't know what they're giving away. Okay, you want to hear enough no's. Okay. More effective purchasing funnel. Some of y'all are trying, I'm just saying, okay, I won't be crude, although it is my nature to be crude, but I was going to say, y'all are trying to take somebody home and they even been on a first date with you. You're like, hi, it's so nice to meet you. $10,000, please. And they're like, I'm sorry, I don't know you. Like, wait, what? 10, like with a comma in like American money or like pesos? Like, what are we talking here? If you don't have an effective purchasing funnel, there's an issue. Like, you're leaving money on the table because you're not slowing it down and moving them through more efficiently. So that'd be a great strategic action plan projection, is to make a more effective purchasing funnel. And then for my emergings who are burnt out and are like, yeah, I've reached the capacity of what I can do because I'm tired and I want to work smarter, not harder. So my strategic action plan main goal is I want to make more money for the exact same amount of work. I don't want to do any more work, but I want to make more money. How do I do that? Right? So that's the whole process. So those are really great things that don't necessarily get identified in a strategic action plan that's embedded in those projections. All right. Any other questions around that? Okay. How are you going to make those changes? How much time are you willing and able to commit? Daily, weekly, monthly? How much money are you willing and able to invest? Monthly, quarterly, annually? Do you have the talent available to you, so the skills, to accomplish these changes that you want? And if not, if you don't have them, how are you going to get them? Right? We need to be realistic about what we're doing so that we don't go, oh, go ahead, I read these things and walked away. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about how to anchor projections in a realistic framework? Okay.
You know
Last
what? I
one.
would love to.
Oh.
How about a summary? How to anchor projections in a realistic framework. Summary. Bottom line.
It's in the handout, but the bottom line is what are you really want to accomplish, and how do you actually go about accomplishing that? And that is going to come from time, money, and talent.
I'm a bottom line whore. I love those.
Okay. And then our last one is the implementation planning designed to move ideas to action and impact. Okay. So you all get this strategic action plan and you go, I'm going to do all of this. That's nice. What am I going to work on? Who's going to do it? By when? You actually have to put some stuff in here. First thing you need to be aware of, okay? First thing you need to be aware of. Not everything on your list is really yours. You've been shit on. I should be doing this. That other person who's in my industry does this, and they make so much money. So it's the constant shitting on. So the very first thing I'm going to have you all do is re-look at those goals and those ideas and go, what if this is really my voice and aligns with my business and my available resources and, quite honestly, my spoons? And if everybody doesn't know what spoon theory is, I'll share with you later. We're going to do that in Q&A. You need to ask what is actually yours. Because if it's not yours, get it the heck off your list. It's not yours. Now, if you're like me, the classic female founder, I don't want to throw it away because someday it might be mine. So I have a little thing that Janina calls the parking lot. And she goes, great idea. We have no space for that on the current implementation plan. Park it in the parking lot. And if I go, no, this is really important. She goes, okay, what's coming off the implementation plan so this can take precedent? Because it's not an and situation, it's an or. And I go, okay, fair. Okay, fair. So park it in the parking lot. Then you are going to determine the level of urgency, because Janina will tell you one of the main things entrepreneurs suffer from is the confusion between urgent and important and not important. As female founders, we act like everything is urgent. It has to be done right now, right now. This has to be done right now. I can see it and I need to be there. No, you don't. That's not urgent. It's important. It's important. We need to address it, but not right this minute. Or we'll go, this is very important. And then Janina will watch me reschedule this very important task 3 times. And she'll get me on my meeting, our weekly meeting, and she'll be like, you've rescheduled this 3 times. I think this word important, this word does not mean what you think this word means. I think you mean that this is unimportant and you'll get to it when you get to it. It's not important. pull it off your list, you only feel like crap every time you have to reschedule it. That is not helping your dopamine. Okay. So how urgent is it? Does this need to be done this week, this month, in the next 90 days, this year? What's the sense of urgency? Now, so you're setting the prioritization. Okay. How do you determine who's going to do the work? So when you map out everything that has to happen, you're combining two things. What are the skills needed for me to accomplish these tasks? And what are my available resources? So if I say, I have no money, I don't have the talent, the skills are not innately there, what are you going to be expending? If you have no money and you don't have existing skills, what are you expending? Anybody? Yeah, Chanel got it. Time. Time, people. If you had no money, no time, and no skills, you better remove that task from your list because that ain't getting done. That is not getting done because you don't have the time, you don't have the talent, and you don't have the money to outsource it. So you're going to make a sacrifice. If you have no time and no skills, you're going to spend money. Make sense to everybody?
Nikki, I just want to chime in and say I really appreciate that because I like manifesting as much as any woman business owner does. You hear a lot of talk about manifesting, and I do think it works to a degree. I came into our group a couple months ago and I said, I'm going to make an extra $30,000 before the end of the year because I need a new roof and I don't want it to hit my budget. Did it happen? No, because I did not make a plan. I did not do any of the things Nikki is talking about. I didn't have a product that would bring me in an extra 30 grand without the extra time that I do not have. So you're absolutely right. I was like, this $30,000 is going to drop in my lap. I have 0 time this year. So that was unrealistic. Now, Nikki's very nice and she did not say, Neener, I told you so. That's not going to happen. You better watch yourself. She was very nice and said, okay, let's watch it happen. But working with somebody and having accountability also to help you make that plan and get your butt to make the plan is very important, because otherwise, like you said, a wish is just a dream, right? So I love manifesting, but we got to put our boots to the ground when stuff like this happens.
I am going to tell you all, the reason I didn't go to Tammy, is because Tammy is highly capable. It wasn't that she didn't have capability. The skill was there. Her investment to earn the money, she's high demand. That was not going to be the issue. What was going to be the issue was capacity. It was going to be her ability, because she is such an important mom to these 2 amazing kids. Val for president. Tammy's daughter, I am going to be on her campaign when she's old enough to vote, let alone run for president. But she's absolutely amazing. It was capacity. It was, what was that going to do to Tammy's? And so she said, like, I didn't have something that was going to bring that kind of money in that period of time. So it's not that any of us are focused on tamping you down. Please understand that framework. I'm not interested in telling you, you don't have the capacity for that. You don't have the capability for that. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what any accountability person or coach should be saying to you. It should say, okay, let's double check. Is this really your voice? Like, this is really what you want? Or is this coming from somewhere else? What's the level of urgency? And what's your available resources? And what are you going to do to bring it to bear? That's all we're asking. And that's so that you come to the conclusion when you go, hey, that's not reasonable for me right now. You're like, oh, that's not going to happen. So you're like, oh, okay, reasonability. That's a really effective coach. And that's something that I've learned from Janina. Is normally I would go, do it. Fine, whip it out. Let's get this. Tammy, go get your list. We're going to, and Janina's like, wait a minute. A coach asks, okay, what do you think this is going to take? Can you do this? So that you all come to your own conclusion as to whether or not that is something that you can expend on resources.
Next time, just tell me to go buy a lottery ticket, because that's all the time I got.
That is all the time you got. Actually, the best thing to say is, in all likelihood, in Tammy's situation for the group, what happened? She thought something was urgent. and it wasn't really urgent. It's important. She doesn't want to be in debt, but that is not urgent. The house will not fall down. Her kids will not have to quit extracurricular activities if she doesn't make $30,000 by the end of the year. So she associated something as urgent that really was not urgent. It is important to her that she has a plan for paying that off, but that can take a year or 2 or 3, and the universe is not going to stop spinning. Make sense to everybody? Okay, now here comes the 2 hardest parts. The parts that us creative Kathys and think that our schedules and to-do lists are such controlling little shits. You actually have to schedule it. Yeah, I know it sucks. You literally have to block the time on your calendar, put your task in there, put it in block space and go, I am doing it on this day. And you're hearing a lot of terms come up right now over the election results where somebody says, we need to pick the hills we want to die on, right? We need to pick our battles. So when you are looking at an implementation, you want to look at what am I willing to, like, I'm willing to go, no, you cannot have this space. A client, a random thing that happens, no, I am protecting this. This is the hill I'm willing to die on because this is what's going to move my business forward. So you see how, like, if it's not your voice, you're not going to be willing to die on that hill. So feel that. And then the final thing is you guys need accountability. And accountability comes in 2 ways. There's tech accountability. Talk to Tammy, talk to Janina, talk to Susan, talk to whoever can help you set up a project management system that you can assign your to do, put a due date on, and hold yourself accountable that way. The other thing is a person, because let's face it, the tech doesn't stare at us sideways. And I'm going to wrap with this funny story. So Janina went on vacation for a week. She's never allowed to do that again because I curled up in the corner and rocked back and forth. No, she's going to do it again. I just have to get used to it. And literally Sunday, and I don't normally work weekends, I'm sitting there frantically on my computer. And my husband comes over and he goes, honey, you don't normally work on Sundays. And I'm like, Janina comes back tomorrow and there's a bunch of shit on my list that I didn't freaking do and I don't want to get judged. So I was like, I got it. Now, mind you, Janina is not a judgy person. Like most people who work with Janina will be like, I never felt judged with her. But it was just this looming thing of this person is going to be there. She's going to be like, excuse me, what happened to this? Like on the ClickUp, it's look at that 17 thing list on the overdue. What happened here? What happened? And so I really pounded it all out. And I was like, she shows up on Monday. I'm like, look at how good I did. And she's like, Nikki, you do realize that I see when you check them off and they all got checked off yesterday. I was like, hey. And she was like, no judgment. You got it done. And I was like, all right. So I can tell you that all the tech in the world will not do anything without having a human that has that accountability. Form accountability groups, hold yourselves, get a coach if that's what you need, but you need the person as well as the tech. You need both. Okay? That's it. See? We got through it. Anybody feel like they drank through a fire hose? Anybody going, I cry mercy? Stop, no more. I can't take it.
No, I think that all of that information was so great, Nikki. And if any of you have questions, we have about 5 minutes left, 5 minutes now left. So please either drop them in the chat or come off mute and feel free to ask about this. And once again, I'll drop the link to the spreadsheet that she created to try to track a lot of these things into the chat as well. So I will do that. And then also, Nikki, Maggie had a question about spoon theory, and I took a stab at answering that for you.
Mm-hmm. You did perfect.
Okay.
Basically, what happens is when you wake up, have you all been like, I wake up and there's not any amount of self-care that day that is going to get me, it's going to get me to a point where I can expend any more energy. Like you just go, I woke up this morning with not enough spoons. Like I just didn't have it, you know? Gen Xers would say that we just woke up with not enough F's to give. I just didn't. And a mani-pedi and some meditation isn't going to change the number of spoons I have today. It's just, that's the way it is. So that is your major thing that we all need to tap into, because when we don't own that awareness, that's when we're going to burn out. And honestly, it's not good for you. So just don't.
Well, and I think that it can apply to not only a day, but it can also apply to a season in your life. So for example, I just co-coached my daughter's softball team, and I realized that I couldn't volunteer to do other things that I wanted to do at the same time, because that was taking up all of my volunteer time and a lot of extra time. So you can think about it in seasons too. I know, Nikki, you really preach like these 90-day sprints, which is even on the sheet that we were looking at. And so if you think about, okay, this is my 90-day sprint. Okay. And I know that in the spring, it's going to be softball season and Girl Scout cookie season at the same time. We're not launching a product. Luminous Marketing isn't launching a product in that time frame, because I know I'm not going to have the spoons during that time frame.
And if you do a 90-day sprint, the other thing, and I'll talk to Nora in just a second, but please, I didn't bring this up to you all. Have you ever seen a sprinter at the end of a sprint? They're like, oh, yeah. Oh, they're all pumped. Have you seen most people that come off of a triathlon? They like have to have the cellophane, aluminum foil blanket. People are shoving IVs into them. I mean, they look like they've been through the ringer, right? We have a tendency to run the marathon of entrepreneurship as a never-ending sprint. Like, knock it off. You look like the triathlon person, and that's not okay. So the reason we say 4 90-day sprints intentionally is so that we say that you build in test and rest periods. That's when you stop, you take a temperature of your available spoons, and you say, do I need to rest? And if I need to rest and I need to test what I've just built and see, does this work before I go build something else? That's test and rest periods. It can be a week. It could be a month. It could be 3 months. So your 4 90-day sprints can end up being a 2-year plan. I don't go by quarters. I don't go by annual. I go by 90-day sprints. And then I go, where am I? What am I doing? How am I? How do I feel like I could do right now? And then I move forward. Okay. Nora, I'm going to call on you, but before, because I know some people are going to jump off in 1 minute, I will stay a little bit longer to keep asking questions. Here is the link for you all to sign up in January. It's going to be a 90-minute session. I'm going to give you the spreadsheet for that tracking past behavior and then everything you would be doing moving forward this year. And we're going to do a deep dive. Everybody's going to start entering information in and start generating what you need to do to set yourself on that track for tracking this going forward next year. So that's the link to book that. It's $27. Trust me, it's worth it. The spreadsheet alone is worth it. But the coach is in there too. Okay, Nora.
No, thank you, Nikki. I just wanted to say that I'm a believer of that 90-day tracking as well. And I kind of started it in the beginning of 2024 with just tracking what I'm doing, but not so deep as tracking my hours. But just recently, starting October, I just jot down how many hours I've worked on a certain thing and if it's helping me or not. So I've kind of developed that 90-day plan every 90. So it's quarterly. It's called 12-week year plan. So what I wanted to say is that, yes, tracking is so important. And I agree with you on that 90-day tracking to tweak and then move forward.
Awesome. And Maggie, there is one hack that we're doing because Janina's been literally trying to get me to track time for 4 years, and it doesn't happen. We've tried. There's other CEOs we're working with. We try to get them to track time. It ain't happening.
It's a whole
either.
thing. I used to do it when I was a consultant. It's just like a whole thing.
It is, but here's what has been working for us. For me, I just put on my calendar when I was working.
Yeah.
So I literally just, after I don't know about how many people in the room, can I see a show of hands, are like, you make your to-do list and then you're like, don't maybe get to the to-do list, but you did like 18 other things and you want to add them to your to-do list just so you can check them off. Like I do that. It's already done.
Yeah.
I don't care. I need to write it down to get my dopamine hit that I lined it off, that I did it. So I've just taken that addiction and I put it on my Google Calendar, and I literally just use color codes. Anything that's client related that is not client facing, I make a light blue. Anything that's client facing to them, I make a dark blue. And I just put their name, the company name, at the header of that time block. Now, did I pull off probably 3 or 4 times in there? Yeah, I probably pulled off 3 or 4 times, but probably not more than 5 to 10 minutes. So it gives me an accurate enough look. So just baby steps, baby steps.
And I'll give an
Okay.
example of what, once you fully embrace time tracking and you're able to stick with it on a regular basis. I agree with Nikki, baby steps, like you do what you can when you can do it. But as someone who's tracked their time for the last probably 8 years in my business, when I was dealing with profitability issues in my business in 2022, the time tracking per project and per person on my team was what helped to quickly identify where I was bleeding money and where I needed to make changes in order to actually get the profitability that I needed to get to be able to pay myself again. So it can be extremely valuable. I use Harvest. I've not used Toggle. But it can be extremely valuable when you are trying to really grow your business and get to a certain level of profitability beyond, especially if you have a team.
Oh, I like that, Gwen. Plus, it also has there's sort of there's a rigorous and focused state of mind that comes with that, which
does definitely
maybe we
help.
forget to cultivate in ourselves.
It helps with my ADHD quite a bit because I can be like, no, I said I'm working on Nikki's project. I'm not going to work on this project while I'm billing Nikki's project. I'm going to stay focused here, and then I will go to that.
I caught myself doing that 80,000 times this morning, right before I got on this call.
It's easy to do.
You'll see this too. You'll see this too. Like for me, Janina will laugh. She's like, oh, 4 new templates this week? I'm like, well, I was working on it for a client, and I'm like, I might as well templatize this. And then I go down a flipping rabbit hole, and now I have a nice, pretty template. And Gwen's like, dang, girl, you got like a lot of opt-in assets. And I was like, well, every time I do something for a client, I'm like, I'll make it a template. So whatever, you just squirrel off. You just squirrel off.
I do have to say, if you do go down the time tracker rabbit hole, 10 seconds, sorry. Install the application on your computer, because both Harvest, which I love if you have a team, and Toggle have an app that sits on your desktop. I size my internet browser so that I can always see that app on my screen, and that's got a counter going all the time, and I can just click play and stop when I am going. It detects when you walk away. It'll turn your timer off. So if you do decide to go down this rabbit hole of time tracking, get the application on your computer as well to help you. It'll make it easier.
Awesome. Harvest
Just
has,
pop the
y'all,
link in
Harvest
the
is
thing.
it's not an easy lift. You would want to have a convo with Tammy or Susan or another tech ops person to help set it up, because it's not the easiest user interface, but once you've been trained on it and you know how to do it, it's great. But
yeah, FreshBooks
really
also has time tracking.
Oh, everything does, including QuickBooks. Everything has time tracking.
Like,
the point is that the Toggle app, because it sits on your desktop, allows that front-facing visibility. You know, it's in your face. So that's what you really need. Whereas I'm not going into QuickBooks to track my time. No.
Yeah, it's like if I need time tracking, I'm going to use a tool that tracks time, and I don't need all the invoicing of the. I like tools that do the best job, or tools that do one thing. They're like the
So I'll give
Phillips
you an
head
example. Tarita, I don't remember what she's got going. Philippa, you're new, so I don't know. But like Susan and Chanel have business models where there's overages that could happen. One of the cool things about Harvest is if there is an overage, you can invoice straight from Harvest. So if you go over, you can click how many hours should I go over at this rate, and you just send the invoice to the client, and you can actually get the payment hooked up through Harvest as well. So it'll just automatically. And then Tammy Harvest has a native integration, I believe, with QuickBooks. So it will log that invoice in QuickBooks for you and then say it was paid. So there's a lot of the cool tech stuff that can streamline this. But for now, being aware is what's most important. Is being, oh yeah, HoneyBook's another great one, Philippa. Yeah, HoneyBook's another great one. So I just want you all to be aware. Just bring awareness to what you're doing and how you're doing it and what it's taking from you to do it. And then ask yourself, one of my favorite questions, is the juice worth the squeeze? So is what I'm getting from this worth what I'm having to put into it? I will tell you that when I was a wedding photographer, the answer was hell to the freaking no. So that you know, there was no amount of juice that was going to make it worth the squeeze. Okay. So just remember that. All right. Any other questions? Book for that. And then I am going to put up my initial strategy session that you all can book. It is 45 minutes. It is free. If you've not done it before, it gives you an opportunity to triage any of these conversations that you guys may be having, that you want a deeper dive for your own questions. Susan, thanks, babe. So grab that. I'm going to release you to go forth and plan. You have your handout. Gwen gave you the link to download a more abbreviated version of the year in review tracking. We gave you an abbreviated version because without me holding your hand, if you see the full spreadsheet, y'all might throw up. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to scare you. Okay. So it's a simpler version of this.
Next.
Okay.
Thanks again for your wisdom and fun, Nikki. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Nikki.